I love it. Chiefs and the Ravens, looking forward to that. Let's move on to the second game here that we have right now. And this was a excellent game as well. It was an excellent divisional round. Are we more impressed with the 49ers comeback win or more disappointed in the Packers loss? And Zach, the mic is yours to kick us off.
Yeah, this is a really interesting question. To me, it's a little bit of both. I have some thoughts on this game. It was an absolute roller coaster. We're usually talking about the Bills being the roller coaster, but that's what this game was. I thought the 49ers got very fortunate. And early on in this game, in the first half, I thought we had all the recipes for an upset. Jordan Love was just making high level throws, just like he did against Dallas. And I actually thought Kyle Shanahan really fumbled at the end of the first half badly. San Francisco only ran 5 plays with just under 2 minutes left, had a few timeouts. And Brock Purdy, in that rain, he looked pretty shook. Like the weather was affecting him. He was literally, you guys see, he was wiping his hand on his pants mid-play, like while he had the ball in his hands. And Deebo Samuel got hurt. The Packers get this long kick return by Nixon, and then he fumbles it, and there are all these 49ers all around him, and somehow the Packers recover it. And I thought we'd be talking about that as one of the best fumble recoveries we've ever seen. Everything was pointing towards the Packers upset. I really don't know how the 49ers won this game, considering I thought Green Bay really dominated for the first 50 to 55 minutes. And the game really shifted on that missed 41-yard field goal by Anders Carlson. That Tom Rinaldi report that said that every time Anders Carlson goes out there to kick field goals, Matt LaFleur, the Packers coach, is praying that it goes well. That reminds me of Cody Parkey and the Chicago Bears in the double doink, because he was missing all these kicks leading into that game as well, and it cost the Bears just like it did the Packers. I wanted to give some credit to Brock Purdy, though. I thought he clutched up late in that game when it mattered most, and he was able to deliver the victory for San Fran. A lot of times you will see teams that go on these long playoff runs point to a game where they really didn't deserve to win. They were kind of fortunate, but got a break here, got a bounce there, and they take advantage. And for that reason, I'm very curious to see how San Francisco comes out next week against Detroit. They did dodge a bullet here, but is it going to carry over? On the other hand, though, I do wonder, too, like, okay, was this their one bad game and they just come out and roll next week and dominate just like the team they've been all regular season? But man, I just thought the 49ers were really, really fortunate to win that game. With that being said, though, you got to be impressed with Purdy making the comeback late. Got to be impressed with Christian McCaffrey. It was just one of those nights where he wasn't going to let the 49ers lose. And it's a disappointing loss for the Packers, no doubt. It's just going to depend on can Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur get them back there. He had a phenomenal first season starting. This is the youngest team in the NFL. They had a statement playoff win in Dallas. I'm not going to call their season and their playoff run a failure by any means. They just have to get back there, or else I think this could be a game where we look back at and say, man, just what a missed opportunity.
Zay, I'll let you go.
I'm more disappointed in the Packers loss, but I'm actually disappointed in the 49ers in general. I think Jordan Love actually looked fairly decent despite those 2 interceptions he threw. He looked good. Aaron Jones ran for 108 yards, 6 yards to carry. This 49ers defense does not look like this stifling, scary defense that it was made to be. The defense that everyone has made it to be for years. This 49ers defense looked extremely weak against the youngest team in the NFL. I thought besides that cross-body, middle-of-the-field throw that Jordan Love threw, man, I thought they were going to win this game. That's exactly what it looked like. And I think if it wasn't for his mental errors on the field, they would have won this game. I don't think it was impressive at all how the 49ers won that game. I don't think at all it was nothing to cheer about. And I hope Shanahan didn't praise them in that locker room after that win because they looked horrible on their home field. It didn't look good, in my opinion. I just think that the Green Bay Packers, they have a lot of mental issues they have to get through. It sucked the way they lost, between the kicker missing the field goal, between Jordan Love miscues at the end of the game where it looked like the 49ers were giving him every check down he wanted. Take the check downs if you want to. Go ahead. And you could march up the field on check downs if need be. And that's what it seemed like the 49ers were willing to do. But he wanted to gun into the middle of the field. He wanted to make a big play. And we said, I think announcers talk about it all the time about the 49ers defense. We see it with D'Amico Ryans. We see it with Robert Saleh. They play to take away the big plays. They don't care about the checkdowns. You could throw checkdowns all game. They don't mind it. You could throw the 5-yard pass that extends to 10, 15 yards. They're willing to let that go. And I think Jordan Love should have recognized that early on. I think it was ridiculous what was happening in that game that the 49ers were allowing. And then he decides to think that I don't even know who to think call. I don't even know if Patrick Mahomes would throw a middle of the field crossbody like that. So even that was like, I'm just so still stunned talking about it. But I'm more disappointed in the Packers loss. They were impressive. That first game against the Dallas. The 49ers, it looked like they were about to cause another upset against the 49ers. And unfortunately, when your ego's too high, too big, you think you're making plays bigger than that. And that's what we saw Jordan Love do. He thought he was the number one quarterback in NFL history, making a throw that you only see in Madden. And
he thought he was Brett Favre.
He tried to do some crazy.
Yeah.
Brett Favre, we saw the same guy throw a pick. Like, it's just these guys just think they're way too big for the moment. And we saw that in that moment, and it just sucked. But, yeah, disappointed in the Packers loss. But the 49ers as well, I'm so disappointed in their performance, and I hope they don't think they're going to play the Lions like that next week. Because if they're going to play like that next week, they're in trouble.
Yeah. From a fandom perspective, I am disappointed in the Packers because I wanted them to win. But that's just, interest there from, behind the scenes. I just wanted the Packers to win. I like the story better than the 49ers. Now, as far as the question is concerned, I'm actually more impressed with the 49ers, right? And I think Zach was leaning more towards I'm going to go on that side more so than both of y'all because there's one little nuance. Zay, you talked about how you was disappointed in the Packers, in the 49ers, and I get all that. But I'm going to tell you why I was impressed, right? And matter of fact, it's not even that I'm more impressed in the 49ers. I'm more impressed with Brock Purdy. That's my answer, okay? Because when I look at this game, number one, it's not about the fancy stat of Kyle Shanahan is 0-30, but it's not about that stat. It's about within the game and what I saw and what I took away from the game. Kyle Shanahan almost blew this game. He did everything in the book to literally blow this game, and somehow Brock Purdy, withstood it all. Like, for example, when you look at this game was kind of like the same simulation of a game they lost early in the season against the Browns, where it was raining, it's pouring, the old man is snoring, and Debo goes down. And yeah, it's the same script. Okay, against the Browns, Debo went down. It was raining, it's pouring. Brock Purdy can't grip the football. Okay. In this game, the same script. Debo goes down, it's raining, it's pouring, the old man is snoring. And we get to the game, and number one, okay, he's struggling. He had some bad throws, and I get that. But then at the end of the game, he has a 12-play, 69-yard drive with 1 minute left to go in the game. He did something that Jordan Love didn't do. He got his team down the field, got the lead, and was able to win the game. But then you look at the drive prior to going to halftime, where I think it was the 49ers was up 7-6. They had an opportunity to put more points on the board before the half. I believe they got the ball with 4 minutes left to go in the game with timeouts. And every play clock, they milked it all the way down. What are you doing? Put up some points. And that's Kyle Shanahan, his conservativeness. Then he realized that, we could actually get points here. Okay. Then they run up the clock, and then they made a longer field goal, which could have been a shorter field goal longer, and they get it blocked. That's points off the board. And then on top of that, you got the MVP, one of the MVPs of the league, like as far as in consideration to win in CMC, and he only got 11 carries through 3 quarters. What are you doing? It's not like they were stopping him during the game. 11 carries through 3 quarters for one of the best players in football. Your quarterback is struggling to throw the daggone rock. Can you hand the ball off to CMC to give him some help? He's a young quarterback, Brock Purdy at that. So I felt that Kyle Shanahan did everything in the book to put his quarterback at a disadvantage with his conservative play calling, not getting points when he should have, when he could have, with not giving the best player on the team the ball in CMC when you got guys like Debo not in the game. And we all know that Brock Purdy is an in-script guy. He is. He plays within the script. That's why when you look and you see Jawan Jennings getting a handoff, that's a Debo play. That was for Debo. They had packages for Debo. Debo got hurt, so they went to Jawan Jennings with the same package. Everything was in script. But I was impressed by Brock Purdy because I was saying to myself, I don't know about y'all, this guy don't belong here on this field. Jordan Love was out here superior. making the throws from outside the numbers. You could tell the talent. I'm like, yeah, he don't belong here. And then we get to the fourth quarter, and he sharpens up like Tom Brady. 12 plays, 69-yard drop for a touchdown. I'm like, well, he showed me something. I came away with a takeaway that I didn't know. This guy's legitimate. And that's why I'm more impressed with Brock Purdy, other than anything else here on this bottom ticker.
You know, real quick, it's interesting. Shanahan, right? And we said this for years. It's not like this is the first time we're gonna say it. He said it for years. He plays conservative in the playoffs. He doesn't play to win the game in the playoffs. And this has to be the dialogue. This when people are reviewing coaches to take over jobs. Are you conservative coach? Or are you going to coach to win the game? Are you going to take us to the finish line? Because Super Bowl champions, guys who win it all, don't play conservative. They don't play for the checkdowns. They don't play 3 downs.
Guys, worse than Mike Tomlin, boy.
They play 4.
You know,
McVay.
Todd Bowles.
That's another thing. We'll quickly say that's another thing. I'm glad Zach brought that up. We saw Sean McVay go home with that conservative approach. We saw what that did to the Rams and why they had no shot to win that game and why they went home. That could have happened to the 49ers, but Brock Purdy came through. I'm impressed.
It doesn't make sense how you keep playing conservative. It doesn't make sense at all. And on top of that, you decide not to run the football against a team that struggled against the run the entire season. Why? How like in what terms are you scouting this team? You're watching film and you're saying, yeah, we're gonna throw the ball 40 times. What? Like, what are you thinking? And I think it's an ego thing. I think for sure. I think the 49ers thought they were superior to the Packers. I felt like they were going against a team, like we said, youngest team in the NFL. They're naive. They're not ready for the moment. We're gonna scare them with our brutality, with our physique. We're gonna destroy them in terms of we're the most feared team in the NFC. No, they went toe to toe with y'all at your crib. And you think the Lions are gonna go in there with that same mentality? Like, oh, they're the 49ers. We're nervous. Oh, the Super Bowl's on the line. We're going to play. No, Dan Campbell's hungry. He is hungry. He's going in there playing fourth downs with my quarterback. We're going there 4th and 1, 4th and 8. It don't matter. We're running the ball down your throat.
The opposite of conservative. Yep.
He ain't going to play conservative. So now he's going to be the aggressive versus conservative team. Don't be surprised. Don't be shocked if the Lions blow out the 49ers. Do not be shocked if that happens. Because the 49ers' conservative ways is not going to work. It is not going to work here. It don't matter how many stars you got on your team. It don't matter if you got C-Mac. You got all these Samuels, Ayuk, Kittle. It don't matter. We don't care about Fred Warner. We're running it down your throat. We're going to put David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. We're going to run it down your throat 30 times this game. 30 times in the first half. And let's see what you can do. We're going to put points on the board. You're going to play 3 downs? That's cute. We're playing 4. And this is what Shanahan has to understand. How many times are you going to play conservative? How many times are you going to say, yeah, our defense will get it back. Don't worry about it. We're good. We're running the ball. We're running the ball 3 times in a drive. It's okay. Like, what are we doing here? It doesn't make any sense how this guy coaches. And we know he has X and O's. We know he's a smart coach. We've seen the play calling. It's not bad. It's not terrible. But your aggression has to level up, not turn it down during the playoffs. You cannot be scared to lose in the playoffs. Your only goal is to win the Super Bowl. Your only goal is to win the game. Why in the hell do you turn down the music? Why the hell is your volume? Why will you start whispering when you've been yelling all season? Doesn't make any sense. That's the biggest disappointment because the mentality of the 49ers shocks me. How great of a football team they are, but they turn down their aggression when the lights are brightest, when all eyes are on them, when it's time for them to really shine and show out. Nobody does. Doesn't make any sense.
So I'm in total agreement with you guys on Shanahan. I thought the game plan from him was awful. Literally having Brock Purdy throw the ball like the entire first half when clearly the weather was affecting him. Will mentioned the Cleveland game. Like, it was the same thing there. It's clear that he's not a good bad weather quarterback. And also McCaffrey late in the game, every time he touched the ball, he was doing work like he always does. But I wanted to bring one thing up too about the Brock Purdy conversation. And I'm so exhausted from this, right? It's funny to me that early in this game when Brock Purdy made some pretty legitimate mistakes that he should have been criticized for, a lot of the conversation was, oh, he's Mr. Irrelevant, right? Like, the fact that he's even here to begin with is amazing. But then you look when he does things well, it's like, all the playmakers he has around him. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like, yes, I think he deserves a lot of credit I agree with a lot of what Lil said for clutching up late in that game and winning. But if the 49ers don't win the Super Bowl, like, what do we think the chances are percentage-wise that he is or isn't back next season? Because I still feel like as great as he played on that last drive, he has to get it done for this team with the weapons around him. And when you look at possible replacements, right, like Kirk Cousins fits perfectly with this team. And even though Kirk Cousins has made a lot of money throughout his career, if I was him, I would be willing to take a little bit less to go to a team like this where you could legitimately win, because that's the one knock on Kirk Cousins, right? Oh, he puts up all these numbers, but he's not able to get it done in the clutch in the playoffs. And I just feel like, yeah, that was a nice moment from Purdy. It probably shouldn't have gotten to that point to begin with, but like, what are the chances if the 49ers don't win the Super Bowl that Brock Purdy is or isn't back next year?
I mean, look, it's probably, in between. Who knows? They had an opportunity when Jimmy Garoppolo missed a couple throws in the Super Bowl to get Tom Brady when he was going to become a free agent, and they didn't want him. They signed Jimmy G, and then they got off Jimmy G. Then they asked for Tom Brady in the offseason when he already retired. No, you're too late to the damn party, fool. So I'm not sure. I can't really answer that question properly because I don't know what their mindset is. Because you called for Tom Brady in the offseason, but you could have called for him when he was an actual free agent looking to play football, and you didn't when you saw your quarterback flat out lose you the daggone Super Bowl. So I really don't know what they're going to do, to be honest with you. I think Kirk Cousins is logical.
You think there's at least a chance, though, right, that he might not be back?
I mean, it depends, because if they get to the Super Bowl, then, what are the likelihoods we see quarterbacks that make a Super Bowl get kicked to the curve? It's not likely, So, yeah, we got to see what happens next week. Now, if he next week, like Zay, just boldly, kind of like gave an alternative prediction, if they get one out the daggone field, then, yeah, I think there's a likelihood we might not see him back in a 49ers uniform as far as starting, But if we get to the Super Bowl, chances are they're probably going to bring him back. And that's the thing. There's always going to be a cap. But I do want to mention, I want to talk about the Packers here because I didn't get to talk about the Packers at all. I am disappointed. I think there's a level of disappointment you need to have in this team. But you do have to realize that at one point they were 2-5. At one point, we was questioning Jordan Love. I was the only one that had the guts to come on the air and say, you know what, this guy's the hardest quarterback for me to rank in my quarterback rankings because he may be actually elite. I was the only one that had the guts. When everybody called him a bust and everybody saying this and that, trade him, I was the brave fool to come on this mic and say, you know what? Wait, hold up. Stop it. What are you doing? Simmer down. Okay? He was getting jumped, and I came like, no. What y'all doing? Okay? Hold up. Don't jump the guy. And clearly I was right. This guy got a tight spiral. He was throwing outside the numbers. I think it was better throwing outside the numbers compared to inside the numbers, if you ask me. And the 49ers, they bought a lot of blitz. Without blitzing, like they front four was able to get to Love, but Love was able to negate that with his arm talent, with his mobility. And that's the things that you want to build around in the quarterback. Guys that can kind of create outside the structure a little bit, buy me time to make the throws on the field, allow my receivers to reroute. And I think he did a good job of doing that. Now, the reason why nobody brought this up, but the reason why there is an argument to go to Packers here and be very disappointed in them is for two reasons. Number one, we kind of had the same type of, I won't say simulation because it was very different. Back in 2010, Aaron Rodgers won a Super Bowl, right? And everybody said, and everybody thought, I was there, I lived it, I remember, yo, this is one of many. This is going to be one Super Bowl of many. He's probably going to win 2 or 3 more championships, at least 2 more. And guess what? We know the Packers playoff history. It kind of reminds me of the Buffalo Bills when you really think about it. If there's any two teams that have had the worst, I'm not talking about getting blown out the field. I'm just talking about the worst heartbreaking playoff losses of the decade, is by far the Packers and the Buffalo Bills. When you look at the Packers, since 2010, the last 13 seasons consist of 8-10 overall playoff record, 0-4 in conference title games, 0-2 in overtime games in the playoffs, 4 losses in games the Packers led in the fourth quarter in these playoff games. And to be more specific, we talking about a botch onside kick where they was up 16-0. We talking about a game against Tom Brady, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where they had mad opportunities to win that game. They didn't, right? They have terrible losses. So we can look at this team and be like, well, they're young. They're the youngest football team in the National Football League. They over exceeded expectations, which is fair. They did. They wasn't supposed to be here. But we don't know if they're going to get back there because we thought that Aaron Rodgers was going to get back there. I'm talking about the Super Bowl, and he didn't. So there is a level of disappointment that you should have being a Packers fan right now, although there is a level of, okay, we got our quarterback of the future.
You know, it's crazy because I think if you're a Packers fan, you should be optimistic. You should be optimistic about what the future holds for Jordan Love, because the difference between a talented quarterback and a great quarterback is decision making. And I think Jordan Love displayed that he has the guts, he has the glory, he has the talent to throw spirals. He can make tight window throws.
I mean, that last play, bro, that last play of the game, that was not no decision making from God, bro. He broke the cardinal sin, the 10 commandments.
It was the whole fourth quarter. Like he was not good in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, it was he wasn't a good fourth. It wasn't a good fourth quarter quarter for him performance wise. But we saw the talent there. But the decision making is where that's where you veer off between great and talented. You could be a talented quarterback, but if your decision making is terrible, you'll only ever be a talented quarterback. You will never reach the potential of great. A great quarterback, the Peyton Mannings, Drew Brees, Tom Brady's of the world. Decision making. They know where the receivers are. They know what they could get away with. They know what they can't get away with. They have the difference in that mold. I think Jordan Love, he could get there. He could get there. But it don't matter. We don't know. But it's his first year as a starter. First year as a starter, he outplayed Brock Purdy at his house in San Fran, almost won the game. You know, he's gonna take this win, take this loss, and hopefully he comes back next year with a different mindset. He doesn't have to play hero ball. He could have threw check downs the entire drive and won the game. But that's, like I said, decision making. No one. I bet you Matt LaFleur didn't say, "Yeah, throw the ball middle of the field, cross body." Nobody. And on top of that, there was so many different options he had. He chose to be a hero, and you live long enough to be what is it to say? You live long enough to see yourself a villain, or you die as a hero. He clearly is a villain right now, but down the line, he's gonna be better. But decision making, I think you have to be optimistic. No one thought they'll be in the game with San Fran. Nobody thought they'll be in the game with Dallas. But you saw the elevation he had in the playoffs. Unfortunately, we saw the end result.
Just wanted to go back to what Will said about all the close playoff losses this Packers team has had. I think it's a good point. We've all watched sports long enough to know that just because you're close, there's no guarantee that you make it back again. I think about the 2011 Oklahoma City Thunder that lost to the Heat in the finals when they had KD and Russell Westbrook and James Harden all on one team. Imagine saying to a Thunder fan after they lost that series that you would never be back in the next 14 years. Zay, I hate to bring this up, but think about the 2006 New York Mets with Jose Reyes and Carlos Beltran and David Wright and Carlos Delgado. That team was loaded, and they were one hit away from making it to the World Series. Carlos Beltran strikes out looking in the bottom of the ninth, and we know the rest. There are no guarantees in sports, especially with this Packer team. It is. I never thought that this would be the worst playoff loss they've ever suffered, and I understand they were a huge underdog. They probably should have never been in this game, but from a pure heartbreak perspective, I could see comparing this game to the 2014 NFC Championship game against Seattle that Will mentioned on that onside kick, or the NFC Championship game against Tampa Bay, or how about when they went 15-1 and were the number one seed in the NFC and they lost to the Giants. This franchise has just had so many brutal playoff losses, and I think this was right up there with the best of them.
Yeah, I agree. Just in closing for me, when you look at it, I think Jordan Love can ball. Like I said, I was the only one really that was out here vouching for this guy. He showed a lot this year, and I think they could build upon that. They are young. That is the difference between that Packers team I'm referencing that, 2010, we're going to go and do more. They have a nice receiving core. Yeah, it's not guys, with names, but you got Jalen Reed, Christian Watson, 6'4", could, out jump you. You got Romeo Dobbs. You got a nice foundation of receivers here. Aaron Jones has shown to be, almost like a Kawhi Leonard type of guy in the sense that you low manage him. You barely play him in the regular season. And then in the playoffs, he's giving you 150 yards plus a rushing, every single game against the Cowboys. In this game, he had a good game as well in the first half. So you have a foundation there. You have the coach. You have everything that you need to really get back here. But my point is what I'm trying to say is that when you have these opportunities to win games like this, you're supposed to win them, because there's no guarantee that you're going to get back here, because it's the NFL. And when you look at the NFC North in its totality, when you looking around, you see the Bears. Are they going to have Caleb Williams? Or are they going to have a much improved Justin Fields next year? When you see the Vikings with Jefferson and the other guy, what's the rookie name? From USC,
Addison.
Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, if they get a quarterback, they could be right there as well. The Lions, they about to go to the Super Bowl, one game away. It's a lot of competition in the NFL. So you got to win these games when you can.
Please like and subscribe for all the up-to-date content. You've been slinging shows left and right, slinging content left and right. Please don't miss anything. If you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment, or leave a question, something you may want to answer, something you may have. All ideas are great ideas. Nothing's a dumb question.